Hello, learners. Today we begin our journey into English shadowing, focusing on how to give opinions and suggestions with confidence. Shadowing means listening to a short sentence or dialogue and speaking along with it, matching the rhythm, tone, and pronunciation. By copying what you hear, you train your mouth and mind to use English more naturally. In this lesson, we'll explore why sharing opinions and offering suggestions are essential skills for everyday conversation. First, sharing your opinion helps you connect with others. Whether you're talking about a movie, a book, or a plan with friends, being able to say what you think shows you care about the topic and engage in real discussion. Later, we'll practice simple phrases like I believe, in my view, and I feel that, so you can sound polite and clear. Next, making suggestions is a way to help people make choices or improve situations. In English, we often use polite forms such as maybe you could, how about, or why don't we try. These phrases soften your message and show respect for the listener. During the practice examples, you will hear and repeat these structures in different contexts to build your confidence. Throughout the lesson, we will repeat each key phrase in 2 or 3 different ways. This gentle repetition ensures you not only recognize the words, but also feel comfortable saying them. I will guide you through each example, speaking slowly and clearly, and then you will shadow after me. This method links your pronunciation practice directly to real communication skills. Now that you understand what shadowing is and why opinions and suggestions matter, we are ready to move into the heart of our lesson. In the next chapter, we will learn and practice the most useful phrases for expressing opinions in a friendly, natural way. Chapter 2: Expressing Opinions. Now that we understand what shadowing is and why opinions matter, let's explore how to share your thoughts clearly in English. When you want to say what you think, you can begin with simple phrases like I think, I believe, or in my opinion. For example, you might say, I think this book is very interesting, or, in my opinion, the story is too long. Each of these phrases helps you introduce your view before you explain more. Repeat after me. I think this book is very interesting. Now try, in my opinion, the story is too long. By shadowing these sentences, you will feel more confident using them in real conversation. Sometimes, adding a softener makes your opinion sound more polite and friendly. Instead of I think, you can say I feel like, or it seems to me. For instance, I feel like the music is too loud, or it seems to me that we have enough time. These softeners show you are gentle when sharing your thoughts. Let's repeat together. I feel like the music is too loud. And again, it seems to me that we have enough time. Notice how these phrases give a kind tone to your opinion. You can also combine your opinion phrase with a short reason. This structure makes your idea stronger and more persuasive. For example, I believe this movie is great because the actors are very talented. Or, in my view, the restaurant is busy today since it is raining. By giving a reason, you help listeners understand your perspective. Shadow with me. I believe this movie is great because the actors are very talented. Now you try. In my view, the restaurant is busy today since it is raining. Practicing this pattern will help you speak clearly and fully. Another way to share an opinion is to use expressions like, to me, as far as I'm concerned, or from my perspective. These phrases add variety and show that what follows is your personal view. You could say, to me, learning English is very rewarding, or, as far as I'm concerned, exercise helps me feel better. Let's shadow these. To me, learning English is very rewarding, and again, as far as I'm concerned, exercise helps me feel better. By practicing different opinion phrases, you will have more options when you speak. When you want to agree with someone, use phrases such as, I agree, I totally agree, or that's a good point. For example, I totally agree with you. This class is helpful. Or That's a good point about staying active. Try these now. I agree with you. This class is helpful. Then, that's a good point about staying active. Agreeing smoothly in conversation shows you listen carefully and respect others' views. If you need to disagree politely, you can say, "I'm not sure I agree," "I'm not convinced," or "I see your point, but..." For instance, "I see your point, but I'm not sure I agree about the ending," or "I'm not convinced that this plan will work." Repeat after me. "I see your point, but I'm not sure I agree about the ending." And again, "I'm not convinced that this plan will work." These polite disagreement phrases help you keep the conversation friendly, even when you have a different opinion. Now you have learned many ways to express opinions. I think, I feel like, in my view, to me, I agree, and I see your point, but... We practiced each phrase with reasons, agreement, and polite disagreement. Keep shadowing these sentences until they feel natural in your mouth. In the next chapter, we will build on these opinion phrases by learning how to make helpful suggestions in English. By combining opinions and suggestions, you will create clear and friendly conversations that sound very natural. Chapter 3: Making Suggestions. Building on the opinion phrases we practiced, let's explore how to make helpful suggestions in English. When you want to offer an idea or a plan, you often use polite question forms or modal verbs. These small changes in phrasing make your suggestions gentle and easy to accept. One of the simplest ways to begin a suggestion is with the phrase, "maybe you could." For example, you might say, "Maybe you could try reading a short article every day." This phrase is soft and friendly because "maybe" shows you are offering just one option among many. Shadow after me. Maybe you could try reading a short article every day. Now repeat. Maybe you could practice speaking with a friend this afternoon. By using maybe, you allow the listener to decide if they want to accept your suggestion. We also use modal verbs to suggest actions: could, might, and should. Saying "you could review your notes after class" is both direct and polite because "could" implies a possibility. Repeat, "You could review your notes after class." Then try, "You might set a daily reminder to study new vocabulary." By shadowing these sentences, you'll practice the natural flow of modal verbs in suggestions. When you want to be more forceful but still polite, you can use should. For example, "You should take a short break every hour." This phrasing shows you believe the suggestion is important. Let's practice. You should take a short break every hour. Again, you should try speaking more slowly to improve clarity. Notice the slight difference in tone between could and should. Use could for flexible options and should when you think something is necessary or very helpful. Combining opinion phrases with suggestion phrases helps your language sound richer. For example, "I think you could benefit from reading English news articles." Here you share your opinion, "I think," and follow it with a suggestion, "you could benefit from." Shadow this sentence. "I think you could benefit from reading English news articles." Now repeat. "In my view, you should practice shadowing every morning." By linking opinion and suggestion, you show both your thoughts and your advice. You can also frame suggestions as questions. What if we tried cooking a recipe in English together? This structure invites collaboration. Try it with me. What if we tried cooking a recipe in English together? And again, what if you recorded yourself speaking and listened back? Framing suggestions this way makes them sound creative and engaging. Another polite way is to use "why don't we?" When you say, "Why don't we set a weekly goal for vocabulary?" you include yourself with the listener. Let's shadow. "Why don't we set a weekly goal for vocabulary?" Then try, "Why don't we practice pronunciation drills after class?" Using "we" makes suggestions feel like teamwork rather than instructions. In some contexts, you will want to offer a series of suggestions gently. If you're interested, you might try joining a conversation club or perhaps watching English tutorials online. Here, the "if you're interested" clause introduces the ideas in a respectful way. Repeat after me. If you're interested, you might try joining a conversation club or perhaps watching English tutorials online. And again, if you're interested, you could use flashcards or you might listen to music in English. These longer sentences help you connect multiple ideas smoothly. Finally, when you receive a suggestion from someone else, you can respond with appreciation before deciding. Phrases like, "That's a good idea," or "Thank you for the suggestion," show respect. For example, "Thank you for the suggestion. I might try that this evening." Shadow, "Thank you for the suggestion. I might try that this evening." Then, "That's a good idea. I could start tomorrow." By practicing both giving and receiving suggestions, you prepare for real conversations where ideas flow back and forth. Now you have learned many ways to make suggestions. Maybe you could, how about, you might, you should, what if, why don't we, and polite introductions like "if you're interested." We also combined opinions with suggestions to create richer sentences. Keep shadowing these phrases until they feel natural. In the next chapter, we will bring everything together with real-life mini-dialogues that mix opinions and suggestions. By practicing these dialogues, you will strengthen your skills and feel ready to speak in everyday situations. Another common pattern uses "how about." When you say, "How about watching an English movie with subtitles?" you encourage the other person to consider a new activity. Repeat with me. How about watching an English movie with subtitles? Then try, "How about writing in your journal every morning?" Notice how about feels like an open invitation rather than a command. To make your suggestion even more polite, you can add "if you like" at the end. For instance, maybe you could join an online language group if you like. This extra clause gives even more freedom to the listener. Let's shadow this full sentence. Maybe you could join an online language group if you like. And again, how about listening to a podcast on your commute if you like? These polite endings remind you that suggestions are not orders, but friendly ideas. Chapter 4. Examples and Practice. Now that you've learned how to express opinions and make suggestions, let's bring those skills together in real-life mini-dialogues. In each example, I will speak a short conversation twice, using slightly different phrasing. Your task is to shadow both versions, matching my pronunciation and rhythm. These practice dialogues will help you feel confident combining opinions and suggestions naturally. First, imagine two friends planning a weekend activity. Version 1. Do you think we should visit the new art gallery on Saturday? I feel like that's a great idea because the exhibition starts this weekend. Maybe we could go in the morning so it's not crowded. That sounds perfect. I agree that early is better. Now repeat that with a slight change. Do you believe we should check out the new art gallery on Saturday? It seems to me that's an excellent plan, since the exhibition opens this weekend. How about we go in the morning to avoid the crowds? Shadow these two versions back to back, paying attention to the softeners. "In my opinion" versus "I feel that," "we could" versus "we might," and the different suggestion frames. "Why don't we" versus "what if we." Our third scenario involves giving feedback on a friend's presentation. Version 1. I think your slides are clear, but you might slow down your speech a little. Thank you for the suggestion. I feel like I was talking too fast. Maybe you could pause after each key point, so your audience has time to absorb the information. That's a good point. I agree and will practice pausing. Now repeat with a new phrasing. In my view, your slides look great, though you should speak more slowly. Thanks for the idea. I'm not convinced I was too fast before. How about adding a short pause after each main idea to help the listeners? That seems wise. I totally agree and will work on that. Shadow each line, then the next, so you internalize how to mix praise, opinion, and suggestion politely. Notice how "maybe you could" softens advice, while "you should" adds gentle firmness. Finally, Let's practice collaborating on a cooking project. Version 1. I see your point about the recipe, but I think we could use less salt. That's fair. I agree the dish might be too salty. What if we reduce the salt by half and add more herbs? I feel like that will balance the flavors nicely. Now try this variation. I understand your idea about the recipe, though I believe we might need less salt. That's reasonable. I totally agree it could be too salty. Why don't we cut the salt in half and include extra herbs instead? That seems like a good idea. I agree it will taste better. Shadow both versions slowly, focusing on linking I see your point with I think we could and I understand with I believe we might. Practice until each phrase feels comfortable. By repeating each mini dialogue twice, you hear natural variations and practice key opinion and suggestion structures in context. Shadow the first version exactly as I say it, then immediately shadow the second version. This helps you recognize synonyms and different frames while reinforcing the same meaning. Keep practicing these examples until you feel ready to use these patterns in your own conversations. In our final chapter, we will summarize the key phrases and encourage you to continue shadowing every day to build fluent, confident English skills. I think that's perfect. I totally agree with you. Shadow both versions. First the think-feel version, then the believe-seems version, so you practice opinion and suggestion phrases in different forms. Next, picture a student talking to a classmate about study habits. Version 1. In my opinion, we could review the vocabulary list together tonight. Yes, that's a good plan. I feel like group study helps me learn faster. Why don't we meet at the library around 7? I agree. Meeting there sounds convenient. Now try this variation. I feel that we might go over the vocabulary list together this evening. That's a great idea. I believe studying in groups improves retention. What if we meet at the library at 7 o'clock? That seems fine to me. I agree with that suggestion. In this final chapter, we look back on everything we have practiced, and we see how expressing opinions and making suggestions can help you communicate more clearly and kindly in English. We began by learning phrases like I think, in my view, and I feel like, and then we added reasons to make our opinions stronger. We moved on to suggestion frames such as maybe you could, how about, and you might, and we even combined opinions with suggestions to create richer sentences like I believe you could benefit from reading English news articles. In our practice dialogues, we heard these phrases in real conversations and shadowed each line twice to reinforce the patterns. Remember that shadowing is more than copying sounds. It is training your brain to think in English. When you shadow these opinion and suggestion phrases often, you will notice that they come more naturally in real conversations. Keep listening to short dialogues, repeat them in your own voice, and try to vary the words while keeping the same meaning. This consistent practice will improve both your fluency and your confidence. Thank you for following this lesson from start to finish. You have learned key opinion expressions, suggestion structures, and how to blend them smoothly. Now it's your turn. Choose a topic you care about, record a short conversation using the phrases we covered, and shadow it at least twice. With daily practice, you will strengthen your speaking skills and feel more comfortable sharing your thoughts and ideas in English. Keep practicing every day, and you will see steady progress on your language journey. By repeating each structure in different ways, you not only improve your pronunciation, but also build a flexible toolkit of expressions. You can now say what you think with confidence, whether you agree with someone or offer a polite disagreement with, I see your point, but. You can make helpful suggestions using why don't we to include yourself or gentle modals like could and should to guide others without sounding commanding. These skills will help you in many situations. Talking with classmates, giving feedback, planning activities with friends, or even collaborating on projects.